Good morning everyone, welcome to our story time. Now, I hope you enjoyed our crafty chameleon story last week because I've got a story from the same author and illustrator. This is Bumping Buffalo. Now that chameleon was quite tricky and it told you about why he was camouflaged. This story tells us all about the buffalo and it's written by Mwenye Hadithi and it's illustrated by Adrienne Kennaway. So I hope you enjoy this. It's Bumping Buffalo. This is Bumping Buffalo. Bumping Buffalo liked to bump. He had great big horns with a huge pad in the middle, just right for bumping. Buffalo would bump anything and everything. He bumped animals, he bumped trees, and some days he even bumped rocks. When other buffaloes were happily chewing grass together, Bumping Buffalo was out on his own looking for things to bump. Bump! He bumped Rhino, who was nibbling the tasty leaves of the toothbrush bush. Rhino shouted, "Go away! Are you looking for trouble?" He bumped Elephant, who was leaning against a pepperbark tree, having a snooze. Bump, bump. Elephant shouted, "Stop doing that! Are you looking for trouble?" Buffalo just laughed. Then he bumped a baobab tree very hard. Bump, bump, bump. Bush Baby was sleeping in the top of the tree. She fell off her branch and came bouncing down through the leaves. "One day, all this bumping will get you into trouble, and then you'll be sorry," she complained sleepily. Buffalo went off to find other things to bump. It began to rain, and Bumping Buffalo took shelter under an umbrella tree next to a large cave in the rocks. Big Zebra and Small Zebra came by. He was about to bump them when he heard Big Zebra say, "You must never go near that cave. There is nothing but trouble in there." When Big Zebra saw Buffalo, she added loudly, "Of course, if you are looking for trouble, that is where you will find it." Buffalo jumped up. He'd been looking for trouble for so long, at last he'd found it. He was sure it was going to be fun to bump. Buffalo puffed himself up, shook his huge horns, kicked up clouds of dust with his hooves, and charged into the cave, bellowing fiercely. It was pitch black in the cave. He slid to a halt and looked around. At first, he couldn't see anything. When he could see a little more, he saw a pair of eyes. He tried to bump them with his horns, but he couldn't. Then he saw another pair of eyes, and another, and he heard a loud growling. Suddenly, Buffalo felt himself being bitten by lots of very sharp teeth. They pinched his hooves, they nipped his ankles, they bit his legs, and they chomped on his knees. Then they gnawed at his tail. Then they chewed his nose, and it hurt. Bumping Buffalo bumped and bumped, but it was no use. He turned and ran out of the cave, chased by a pack of angry, howling wild dogs. He ran and he ran and he ran. "Ah, so you found trouble at last," said Rhino, as Buffalo panted past the toothbrush bush. The wild dogs chased him, and he ran even further. "Ah, so you heard trouble at last," said Elephant, as Buffalo hurtled past the pepperbark tree. When he was quite lost and exhausted, Bumping Buffalo hid behind a large baobab tree where the wild dogs could not find him. Then he bumped the tree, just for fun. "Stop doing that!" yelled Bush Baby from high in the branches. So the wild dogs saw Buffalo, and they chased him all over again. Finally, Buffalo hid himself in a large bush. There he stayed quiet as quiet, and he didn't bump anything. And the wild dogs ran past, and they didn't see Buffalo at all, as he was so well hidden. Buffalo didn't feel like bumping anymore, and he stayed quiet and still in the bush for a very long time. Even today, he stands motionless in the bushes and shadows, where he knows he can't be seen because he hides so well. And Bumping Buffalo no longer goes looking for trouble. But if Buffalo thinks you're bringing trouble to him, he will come charging out of nowhere, bumping and bumping like anything. The end. This was Bumping Buffalo, all about why the buffalo now stays so still. I hope you enjoyed it.